Yo, what up, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's your boy the Cackler. You don't know me. I'm doing a build video today, mainly because I just kind of wanted to be able to. Let me cut this down a little bit real fast. Show off this meta. So, first and foremost, man, shout out to everybody that's been putting this out on YouTube and stuff like that. I checked this out a while ago, and I had this build a long time ago. We're talking about the infamous Backfire Striker build. Um, this is my version right now, currently. It's gonna probably get tweaked to the one that I want to finalize. But what I wanted to kind of do is go into a brief discussion about the build so you guys can get an idea of what to expect from this build. Um, First and foremost, number one, I'm gonna shout out everybody that I saw do a video on it. Roll Gold. I definitely got a lot of information about it from him, as far as with modifiers and stuff like that to use. And not saying I got them from him personally, just from his video. And I saw a couple of other guys doing videos on it. I don't know if Cowboy was one of them. I think he was though. But everybody else I did see do videos on it. You know, everyone's got it all over the place right now. The reason why I decided to do a video on it was because it's becoming an ongoing cliche as if we weren't rocking this build some time ago. It's just that the buff they gave to the Backfire itself is what makes it interesting currently. So I'm just gonna go right into a couple of things because I don't want to make this a very long video or anything like that. Just something to be able to kind of go over. So first and foremost, I mean, you know, of course, the build stars the Backfire. You got to have the Backfire exotic. It's an SMG that is to also be taken into consideration. Um, Currently, right now on the build, I'm proccing 91.8 thousand damage at 978 RPMs and 50 rounds in the mag. Now, this is cool, but let's just call a spade a spade. That's not a crap ton of damage. You know what I'm saying? I'm using the ACS 12 because it's actually my go-to shotgun. Most of the time when you're using an SMG, you're thinking about optimal range is going to be within 10 to 15 meters. So you can look at that right here where it says the damage drop off. You can kind of see that. That gives you an idea of where your maximum damage is going to occur and where it's going to start to drop off at, which is fairly close. Um, Reload time is pretty good on both weapons. I mean, the ACS can go all the way up to almost 3 seconds, and God forbid you're in a face-off or something like that. It seems like for some reason she just stops knowing how to reload it. Um, but I have both of these. I got lucky. I got both of these with Detox. This one I haven't maxed out yet, so I'll do that here in a second. I don't really use the Backfire much, but again, like I said, I had this build for quite some time. I am proficient in the Backfire. I'm sure everybody right now is probably going to buff up their proficiency to get more damage out of it. I'd say if I could get this up to a 26, I might be able to get 100K out of it, maybe a little more. Um, doesn't really matter that much, but I will show you guys what it's capable of doing here in a second. So next thing is the four-piece striker. So a lot of guys that I play with right now, we've been talking about this, and I have a lot of friends of mine that are like, why are people going around wearing armor core striker builds? Well, this is the reason why. You got the armor cores on because you want to be able to have the armor in order to be able to tank the bleed damage that you're getting from the Backfire. So remember what the Backfire's talent is, you know, and I'll go over that in a second. I like to go over the pieces of my builds first, though. But you can see it right there. For those of you guys that are familiar with it, you know, you can just kind of skip past this part. But then the next thing is you have, I mean, I got on a striker mask with crit chance, crit damage, armor rolled onto it. This one is the memento. The memento gives you all three cores. That's one of the reasons why you want the memento, because you have weapon damage, armor, and crit hit damage. And then I have the striker gloves. They also have armor rolled onto them with crit damage. And then I have striker knee pads. They also have armor rolled onto them. Now I have one with crit chance on here, but it's not necessity for crit chance. Honestly, you proc enough crit chance from the modifier here in a second that I'll be showing. And then I have another holster here with crit damage rolled onto it. And then I have a one-piece Sokolov. Okay? And I decided to put Obliterate on it. But this is debatable. And I'll showcase why in a second. Okay, so now I'm using a Crusader shield. I think a few other people I know. Rogue was using the Striker shield. I think the one that gives you the buff where you can basically take the shield. It's this one right here, where you get an additional damage buff per person that's in front of your shield, which is pretty cool. I do have that on one of my builds. That's a shield build, but this I don't really want it to be that effective in the shield range. Now, my concern with that is going to come and play later. I'm using the pulse with it as well, and the only reason why I have pulse on right now is because it was a part of another build meta that I had. But I think that probably the best thing to have on, because you're proccing a lot of damage and you're going to be in close, is the Reviver Hive. Okay, so that's going to kind of be what you're going to be looking for the build, and just kind of keep it at that. As far as your sidearm is concerned, I don't really think it matters. I just haven't had a profit on this particular character for the sidearm that she has. She's my second character, so it's just something that I use. I don't really feel like it matters that much. I mean, if you want to be prepared for like a pistolero situation, of course use a TDI card custom, so you can at least get that extra skill tier. But you don't have any skills that are proccing damage here, so you're not going to really worry about that. You are the skill damage. You are the overall damage. Okay. So now to go over the backfire real fast, the reason why you're going to have it is because of this talent here, payment in kind. Dealing damage to enemies adds a stack of 2%. Critical hit damage up to 100 stacks. So that's 200% critical hit damage. Last 10 seconds. It says on reload, apply. Okay. A 10-second bleed to yourself, which deals 0.5 armor damage over time. All right. So it's not really a significant amount of armor damage that you have to be concerned with. It's just enough to where you're going to notice it. Now, if you're in the middle of tanking, again, if you have more or less a shield option for this build, you're probably going to get your ass handed to you, especially as close quarters as you're going to be in. And if you're in a legendary with this build, you want to take that into high consideration, okay? But here's the thing. You can get up to 100 stacks. I want you to look at this here. This thing has 50 rounds in the magazine. 50 rounds. You can get up to 100 stacks. That means 2 clips in order for you to reach 200% critical hit damage that you're going to need to shoot out. So ultimately, I wouldn't come into this thinking that initially you're going to be able to do that amount of damage, because that's not the way that's going to break down. You're going to need to be able, and it says dealing damage to enemies, you're going to need to be able to land all 50 shots. So you're probably going to reach those stacks maybe around your third clip. But because this goes so fast, and with the buff that you get from the Striker build from RPMs, it's actually going to get you there fairly quick. With my ACS 12, the thing is on that I use close and personal because it's a shotgun. Within 7 meters, if I get a kill, I'll get an additional 30% weapon damage for 10 seconds. Now, this is something that I haven't checked on to see if I do a swap, if that snake will still be there. You see where it says close and personal to the right, there's a snake there. When you see that snake proc, normally that's telling you that the actual deal is actually working. Same thing with this right here. When you see that bug, the payment in kind bug, it looks like kind of like a, I don't know, a spider or some shit, I don't know. Basically, if that goes down, if that comes up, excuse me, you're actually knowing that you proc the payment in kind. So this is something that, it's kind of interchangeable, but for me, it's necessity. I can pretty much put away just about anybody with this up close and personal. However, that's really reliant on how much damage I'm doing. Normally, I get this at about 100,000 more total damage. So I'm going to be a little concerned about that, when I'm up and close. But mostly this build is for the backfire. So then you have a 4-piece striker. I'm not going to show you guys everything else about the striker except for the fact that you can see what it does here. 2 pieces is 15% weapon handling. 3 pieces is 15% rate of fire. 4 pieces is going to initiate striker's gamble, where it says weapon hits increase total weapon damage by 0.65%. Stacking up to 100 times, basically giving you 65% weapon damage. And a stack is lost per second between 0 and 50 stacks, and 2 stacks between 50 and 100. I'm not using the chest piece or the backpack on this. And the reason why is because you do need to have a little bit of armor coming in. Now, my reason for using Sokolov here instead of what some people are using, which is like a piece of y'all gear to get their Has Pro and stuff, is because I figured out something within this. Okay, now this is something that can be changed too, especially if you want to tank in like a legendary or something like that. But I still don't believe currently you need to be reliant upon Has Pro. Now you turn around and you look at this, I get an additional 10% SMG buff. Again, I want this thing to slap. So that's how I get up to 91.8. Other people's, I guarantee you, is not hitting as hard as mine base. And not to say that someone's is better or worse. I'm just saying my damage is gonna do more base. My base damage is gonna do more. So I'm at 91.8 right now, and then plus that 10%. That's what you're already seeing, quantified into my actual total damage currently. So, and then I put Obliterate on here, but like I said, that's debatable because I actually figured out a different way of being able to use this, which might work out even better than Obliterate. But so it's a 4-piece striker, and you just kind of go from there. And so basically, when you're turning around and you're looking at the build itself, you got Gunner that you're going to be using, at least in my version of it, for the actual specialization. And I'm not going to say that you can't use Firewall. Firewall's cool. But for me, Gunner is probably going to be the bee's knees because at the end of the day, Gunner is actually giving me an increase in rate of fire. Also is giving an increase in armor on kill. And it does one other thing. And I'll probably have to go into that and look into it here in a second. But like I said, so I decided to use the regular Crusader Shield and the Revive Hive because those are the most important things for me on any type of up close build. Not to say that you can't use the Striker Shield, it's just I'm so used to using the Crusader, I kind of know what to expect with it. I do have a lot of cores here, so I am at 6 tiers, which is going to give me an additional 4.7 million armor, aka health for the shield. And then in case I go down, I have my Revive Hive, so I'm cool there too. Now, the Memento here, the last thing I wanted to discuss, and the reason why I kind of left it last is because there's a lot to be able to go over with the Memento if you're not familiar with it. The kill confirm bonus, if you read it, it says enemies you kill drop a trophy on death. Collecting trophies provide both a short-term and long-term buff. The first of which scales with the number of core attributes equipped and lasts 10 seconds. Okay? So basically what they're saying is that you get 5% weapon damage for 10 seconds, 10% bonus armor for 10 seconds, and 5% skill efficiency for 10 seconds, or until you collect another trophy, which it refreshes your 10 seconds. So every time you're collecting trophies, you're getting that additional buff. Now remember, you're getting 5% weapon damage for 10 seconds, 10% bonus armor for 10 seconds, and 5% skill efficiency for 10 seconds. And it says for every trophy collected, gain an additional, and these are your long-term buffs. For every trophy collected, gain an additional plus 1% weapon damage, which can go up to 30, and 1% skill efficiency, which can go up to 30, and 0.1% armor regen, which can go up to, what is that, 3% armor regen, I think? I could be wrong about the math. I'm not even going to try to figure that out, but so whatever 30 times 0.1% is. And you get all of that for 300 seconds, which I do know is the equivalent to 5 minutes. So those buffs, they start, as soon as you start going and moving in, and basically they continue on as you start continuing on throughout picking up trophies. So your trophies are going to be as you start getting kills. You're going to drop the trophies and you're going to get the additional buffs. But the long term and the short terms are not to be confused. So when you think about this, one of the key things that I took into consideration when running these types of builds is when you have the Memento and you combine the Memento with a Hunter's Fury build, which a lot of people used to rock as a meta for the Hunter's Fury build in general. you would use a different option here, which is called, and we'll go into that here in a second, in talents. And that option, where the heck is it? You can never find it when you need it. This one right here is Intimidate. So it says, while you have bonus armor, you gain a stack each second up to a max of 9. Each stack increases weapon damage by 4% to enemies within 10 meters. Now, when you're using an SMG and a shotgun, you can just about guarantee your kills are going to be within that 10-meter range. Just take that into consideration. That's what's going to happen. That's where you're going to get your kills at. That's how you're going to get down, and that's what you're going to end up doing. So remember that and understand that that's exactly how you're going to provide your initial damage and things of that nature. So when I thought about this and I said to myself, okay, you do the math on what Intimidate does. Jesus, I should really put this thing on Do Not Disturb right now. But when you're looking at Intimidate and you're seeing the buffs that you're going to get from having Intimidate, you have to think that you get, so for each stack, so while you have bonus armor, you gain 1 stack each second up to a maximum of 9. Each stack increases weapon damage by 4%. So that means 9 times 4 is what you're going to be getting in additional weapon damage. That'll take you up to 36% weapon damage. Meanwhile, Obliterate, which we'll go back to here, all it gives you is additional 20% weapon damage, and that's also only based on your critical hits. So your critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 20 times. So you have to understand that those stacks are based on your critical hit damage. So yes, you'll get them per critical hit, but the game kind of like puts that into perspective, you know, as well as how you're getting your critical hits. And you're kind of relying on the game for that in that particular instance. But if you were to switch that over to Intimidate, if you're going to use the Memento, you're going to be proccing that 36% pretty much the whole time that you're in the mission. So that's an additional 16% weapon damage. So the Memento, remember what it does, and this is why I read that over and over and over again, is that you have every trophy you pick up, you're getting 5% weapon damage for 10 seconds. 10% bonus armor for 10 seconds, and then 5% skill efficiency for 10 seconds. So remember that 10% bonus armor is every trophy that you pick up, 10 seconds. And then you also get the other buff for armor, which is armor regen, which lasts 300 seconds. So if you combine that with the Intimidate buff, and we'll go back in and we'll look at that again. You'll see where you're at. So all you have to do is have bonus armor. So if you keep on picking up your trophies, normally every trophy that you pick up, remember your stacks can be 9. So you have about 9 stacks that you can get, but it goes up each second. So basically it goes to 9 seconds. So after 9 seconds of having that trophy, and remember, every time you pick up a trophy, it's going to restart that 10-second counter. You're going to be proccing pretty much at 36% weapon damage. Now, it's going to be a fluctuation, but it's going to be about the same type of fluctuation that you're going to have with Obliterate. But Obliterate's payoff is 16% less than Intimidate. So for that reason, I would advise to put this in the build. You definitely want to use that if you're going to use the Memento. Now, there's another way to run this where you can take and you can put the Ninja Bike on, and that one will give you the opportunity to be able to take one of these or one of these off, you know, and I prefer to do the holster with mine. And then what I did was I put on one piece of Uzina Getica. And the reason why I put this on was because I get an additional buff for total armor, and I get 10% armor on kill. So that's a lot more helpful for me. And then plus I get another 13% crit hit damage, and I'm still doing a lot of damage with this piece, but I would switch over to Obliterate if that was the case. So that's the second way to run it. So you take this and leave it on Obliterate, not Intimidate. Only use Intimidate when you have the memento. If you decide to use the Ninja Bite, then go 1, 2, 3, and then switch it to like a Uzina Getica, and then you're gonna get a lot more armor. Now for that particular one, I would advise to have that set for like a legendary, because your slow burn is gonna be a lot better. And a legendary, I think that's going to work out better for you. Again, you could take and switch over to Firewall and then put on a shield for that and then get the additional damage buff. But for some reason, I just don't feel like that shield is as hardcore. Even though you get more bonuses from it, I just don't like it. And maybe I'm just being a dumbass by saying that, but it's just like not something that I'm cool with. So, all right. Is there anything I'm leaving out? You can change your grenade here, like you can put on a concussion grenade if you want to, and that's perfectly fine. But me personally, I don't mind the mobilizing because the mobilize will kind of help out too. With that being said, let's go ahead and cut down here. I feel like I was standing right in front of that goddamn speaker. I know this is going to kind of tell you your damage numbers here. I got to be careful because I do have ammo hoarders on. And that does transfer into the gun range, unfortunately. Let's take a look. Alright, so what it looks like here is once I reach full stacks, I'm shooting at about 700k a shot. So you can see I'm now declining from full striker stacks. It's not necessarily fully what it is that you're gonna get with the build, but I'm gonna let it decline real fast and then I'll show the rest of it. So this is again, shout out to Road Gold for being able to showcase this. This is the part that Road Gold actually was kind of very influential, at least with me, on, was he was showcasing this way. Running the global modifiers is one of the biggest reasons why this is being used so much right now, because of these global modifiers. This one is not as important. You can use whatever one that you want to use. I don't have Tech Link set out yet, but you can use whatever one you want. Security Link, Rich Environment, because it does this increase of buffs. So it says for the duration of the ability, you gain 5% weapon damage for every non-red core equipped. And then attributes are frozen and bonuses are multiplied by 4. So basically all of your bonuses are multiplied by 4. So you get like a quadruple multiplier, which is insane. The passive modifier values are multiplied by 2. On activation, allies within 25 meters are granted a boost to their firearm score, and the modifier's duration is increased by 3 seconds for each ally nearby. Once the effects end, all attribute scores go back to their baseline values, and duration is 25 seconds and the cooldown is 60. So basically every minute you can proc this, which is cool. Like I said, you don't have to use Assault Link. You can use Tech Link if you got it, Security Link, which a lot of people are using right now to be able to tank and target rich environment, but you should have at least one of them on. These are somewhat important, especially this one right here, loaded up. It says 25% of your crit hit chance value is added as crit hit damage while at tier 5 in firearms. So once you hit tier 5, you will get 25% of your crit hit chance will be added as crit hit damage. Now, I'm going to show you guys what that does here in a second. Now, this one right here is something I decided to rock with. Hazard protection is increased by 7.5% for each stamina tier. And that's one of the reasons why I have no Haz Pro on my build. Um, I can do that, like if I decided to, instead of wear a piece of Sokolov and Uzina Getica on the other version, I could decide, okay, I'm going to go with one piece um, Sokolov and one piece Cheska. Not Y'all Gear, Cheska. And the reason why you go with Cheska is because the two-piece bonus is 30% Haz Pro. That should be enough to keep you afloat. Now, depends on how well you get shredded and a legendary, but you know, we can figure that out here in a second. So, and then the next thing I use is this right here, gain 5% protection from elites per blue core while at stamina tier 5. That one's pretty useful. So if you get 5% protection from elites per blue core, if I have 5 blue cores on, I'm getting 25% PFE. If I decided to put PFE mods on, and instead of my crit hit damage mods, right, I'm still going to get a huge buff in crit damage. And I'm already going to have, if I rock 6 armor cores, I would already have basically 30% plus another 36%, which is where most of us are that don't have the luxury of ever seeing a 13% PFE drop. You know, so you have another 36%, which is 66% protection from elites. That will come in handy in a legendary. That means they won't hurt 66% as much. You know, you're taking them down to almost a challenging level as far as how much damage they can do to you, and you're still doing a shit ton of damage to them. But I would prefer to do that with the firewall version of this build, and even in that situation, I might kind of be more prone to maybe even try out a Hunter's Fury version of it, where I'm using just the 3-piece with the Ninja Bite, because you don't really need to pick up trophies in a legendary. Legendary trophies are kind of few and far between and hard to come by, and I wouldn't really waste my time trying to go around and picking them up, because there's too much going on. There's way too much action. I would probably say that if you were to use the memento in that version of the build, you have to take into consideration that you're probably, I mean, you're almost better off using a big shield if that's the case. You know, because honestly, the Backfire is going to do you good, but you got to remember that if you're not getting those kills and proccing that armor, you know what I'm saying, it's not necessarily going to help you out as much. Now, if you use the Intimidate bonus, yeah, you should be okay, you know, because you're already getting bonus armor, and that bonus armor is equaling more weapon damage, and that more weapon damage is going to lead to you hurting more as far as your, you know, what you're kicking out, and how you're able to transcend from there is just based on your gameplay and trying to stay in everybody's face. But your shield is going to be pretty OP. It's just your stacks. My concern is once you get to max stacks, you're going to kind of develop a consistency, and this is the thing that all of us do, and I think that we don't take enough of this into consideration. You need to be at those stacks, and most of the time in legendaries, if your guys aren't pushing, your stacks are going to decline, and most of us are going to turn around and sit back and kick it for a minute and think about what we're going to do before we go in the next room, you know, kind of coordinate and get things, you know, set up in between there. So it might not be the best option for you unless you let everybody know, hey, I have to maintain these stacks, so I'm going to have to keep pushing. And also, you're going to have to be in everybody's face the whole time. And in that situation, rocking 6 armor cores would probably be cool, but I think I'm about maybe 200,000 off from where most people are at 1.9. Now, you expertise this up to a 14, you'll probably even hit 2 mil if you had all armor cores, but you wouldn't proc as much damage. Now, let's go back into this now that those stacks have dropped, and let's take a look at it. I'm going to get these back up. And I'm going to activate Assault. once this clears, I'm going to activate it. Here we go. Alright, so now assault link is over. I'm hitting at about almost a mil. Let's go back over here. And now let's take a look at some stats, and you'll see my crit hit damage currently is at 129.5. My crit hit chance is at 64%. So it's already saying that my crit hit chance is much higher than what you can normally get, which is 60. The cap is 60, I'm at 64. People have been showing their caps hitting 100 and their damage hitting 400. Alright? We're going to go back in here. This is all I want to make sure of. Now that's my base without even having a chess piece talent activate, just so you guys know that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to reset this, and we're going to do the same thing with Obliterate. Striker stacks almost all the way up. Now my base is currently 843. Let's get some more ammo. I'm going to try to keep this up, and we're going to show it with assault link. I'm going to activate assault link. So my numbers were climbing up to 1.1 mil. Great. Awesome. The unfortunate aspect of using it with Obliterate is, remember, like I said, versus Intimidate, if I'm using it with the Memento, I'm missing out on about an additional 16% weapon damage. And that weapon damage also applies to my secondary as well, which is a significant buff to this. I'm not going to crit as much with the shotgun as I am with, I mean, the Backfire is already, once I max it out, I'll be a 21% crit hit chance. And my detox is going to be up as well. So it just doesn't seem like it would be the best option to have if you're going to run it this way. You know, once you take it and you use Intimidate on there, it's going to be a lot better for you, because Intimidate is going to give you a lot more of a buff, especially overall. Now, that's something I'll have to showcase in the field, because I literally have to get kills in order to be able to do that. But let's go ahead and we're going to put this back on. Hold on a second here. And oh shit, I thought I was on chess pieces. I guess not. All right. So then we're going to take a quick trip. Okay, I didn't have to reload that. We're going to take a quick trip here into the common area. And I'm going to take off a few of these global settings, the global directives here. We're going to take off cool skills. And we're going to take off ammo hoarders for sure. About a 10-second wait time. Alright, so we should be good now. And now we'll find a place to be able to kind of kick into here. Let's find a heroic bounty. Let's find these guys here. Of course, I'll go into one of these places.
Target near you.
Here we go. Getting close. Alright, let's make sure, let me double check this just to make sure I'm rocking the right thing. We don't want to obliterate on, we're just using the memento with this here. Alright. Now I will tell you, like I said, with me I have one less armor core than most people have. So if I go down for some reason, remember, the meta for this that these guys are rocking right now is all 6 armor cores. I'm using 5 because I want to get more weapon damage. Let's go ahead and get this going. Dead. Shit. Alright, trophy up. Trophy up.
Don't worry. I got this fucker.
Trophy up. Trophy up. It's almost like these guys don't really even stand a chance. I still haven't reached full striker stack yet. I don't have anything to worry about. This guy right here is going to be a cakewalk.
Target spotted.
Now I gotta get over here so I can get my trophies. Alright, now they want go time, it's go time. Look at my armor.
Good work.
Even though I'm taking a lot of damage, they're still not doing anything to me. I'm over a mil 4 right now. And that's because that additional buff that I'm getting from the Intimidate right now. Look at this guy. Look at those numbers. I haven't even picked up every last one of my trophies yet.
That's the target agent.
Alright, so who the I'm gonna let that girl hit me in the back. I just want to see what type of damage she can do, if she can actually kill me from behind. Still getting kills. Oh, she didn't even want to shoot me. What is her problem?
Looks like you earned yourself
Okay,
a
like
bounty. Well done.
so now look at my weapon damage because it should actually be showing. So now I'm at 111.18, right? And if you look at my stats here, I still haven't hit the 400% crit hit damage yet. I'm at 64% crit hit chance, which I don't necessarily see how other people are getting anywhere above that, but that's kind of like what's happening. And I understand it. It's not that big of a deal for me, but the truth be told, it's one of those kind of things where when I'm looking at it, it's kind of obvious quantification that you're gonna do more in reference to how you rock the build. But like, I mean, even that whole time, I mean, you know, like you got to stay in close with an SMG. It's just kind of important. No, don't be back here with an SMG. You know, don't be back here with it. Just don't do that. It's not one of those things you really want to get used to doing. Um, Even though I was taking on a lot of damage, this is a heroic. I am in the streets, and these guys were hitting hard as fuck. I only had to use the assault link one time, and the only reason why I wanted to use it is because I wanted to burn them as fast as possible because you know it was just kind of showcasing what was happening. But that's what I was saying. So my base does go up a lot more when I'm using the Intimidate versus Obliterate. And I felt like I was doing. I mean, I saw 1.4. Everybody else I saw doing this, I was seeing 1.2 with them. I hit 1.4 no problem. Um, I do this with a legendary. I have a feeling it's gonna go the same exact way, and I'm an armor core short. You know, let's see what happens with these guys up here. Oh, these more trash pandas. I'm not even gonna pull out my shield. I'm just gonna see what happens if I don't pull my shield out. Okay, so look at this. As soon as I come in here, what am I stuck on? Oh, a bike. That bike was gangsta as hell. But I don't really have anything to worry about. And you see, every trophy I pick up, I gain that, and then even when the bleed hits, what's happening to me? Nothing. I'm fine. It's not even affecting my health. So I think there's a lot of different ways you can run this, but you know, let's go ahead and we're gonna do this here. And I'm gonna go in here to a legendary, and we're gonna see if going into a legendary is gonna maybe kind of make things a little bit more complicated. Like I don't know if it will or won't. One second. Okay. And we're going to pick the famous DUA here, and we're going to see how this actually works out. And all I want to do, it's going to be tough because I got to get in close, and I have a feeling that I'm probably going to have some issues. But we're going to see. I got a lot of armor here. I'm still proccing. Look at this. I'm still proccing bonus armor. Or armor regen, excuse me. It doesn't come up as bonus armor, and you'll see my base weapon. Actually, no, it looks like my base is still at 111. It's crazy. Just imagine when I actually get this thing expertised up. But we're going to try this here, and I'm just going to run right in, and I'm going to go right up to the first NPC. I expect to get killed here, but let's see what the damage numbers get to before I die. I'm going to try. Oh, Wally. Now this Wally should get my stacks all the way up here. I got people coming from behind me. I'm already at 111. I'm still proccing. Now remember, this is a legendary. I got to get this trophy over here. Now I'm already getting hit a lot. As soon as I get that trophy, you see what happens. I'm gonna get this trophy. Those Wallies are the things that can cause me the most damage. Alright, so I need that trophy. We're gonna kind of go into cover here, heal up. Now, like I said, I expect to die here. But it doesn't look like it's happening. Okay, so where are you at, buddy? Where was this guy shooting me from? Now they are trying to strategically stay from around me, because if they get in too close to me, I'm going to do a lot more damage to them. There's my armor right back up. There's 2 trophies over here they haven't even given me credit for. There's my Changa. Of course you are, buddy. Alright. Those Changas are going to hurt when they come down.
Deploying UAV.
Got their range.
Still a legendary. Alright, now they're at a point where they can drill me. Now, let's see if I get back up here. Okay. Now that was from everybody on the map. Now my stacks are still in a decent spot. He's gonna get him right back up. Oh, good shit, bro. Good circle damage you got. Now these guys, look at everybody on the map here. They're strategically spaced out.
Serious trauma detected.
Loading up.
Alright, I'm not even gonna worry about healing up yet. I'm just gonna start killing. Look at this.
Down and out.
You missed.
Agent vital signs 0.
Okay. So now first and foremost, I almost cleared that whole entire part there, and you know, had I played a little less recklessly, I probably would have. If I'd have stayed in cover, I would have definitely cleared that part with ease. It would have been a very, very easy part for me to be able to take down and clear. Now, also, remember I said earlier on that in order to be able to go into a legendary, what I would probably recommend doing is the firewall version of this. I'm still using the gunner version of this. You use the firewall version of it, and your shield is going to be buffed so much more. Again, you can use the striker. It's just not something I'm cool with. I feel like it doesn't last as long as the Crusader. I don't know why, but you know, that's going to give you the, so when you use the firewall, what you get here is these. So this is what I like. You get the active 8% regeneration, and then you get this other one here, which is the 8% shield health versus the 5. I don't think you get anything in this slot, but you know, it's not bad. And then you do this here, you put on the 5% damage per enemy in front of your shield. Also, people that are shooting behind you, your like own teammates, they're going to get that same buff, but you have to activate firewall. Now what firewall is going to take away is your ROF buff, your armor on kill buff, and that one other thing that I can't seem to remember right now that you get from using gunner. That's not something I really want to sacrifice. I like the fact that I can go in and I can tank and kill with this build. And even though I'm getting, you know, hit hard as hell, these guys were hitting me from every direction, I was tanking all of that damage, no problem. I think I only activated, did I even activate Assault Link? Or I activated Assault Link like one time or something like that. I didn't even need to activate it. And God forbid I use the one that does the stamina buff where you get more armor. I would have been unstoppable. And this is not even a max backfire. It's not even a max backfire. So that's kind of the video I wanted to be able to showcase for you guys. There's other ways to do this. Like I said, you can take it. You know, I have another version of this Sokolov here that I used to use. There's this one right here. And just to show you guys this, so this was actually the original meta for the Backfire build. And this one is about, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 armor cores, and I have 2 weapon cores on this particular version of the build. Let me make sure this one is saved just in case there's a problem. Or overwrite just in case. And you guys can look at this one. So this one here is 1-piece Cheska, or 2-piece Cheska. So I get the 20% Hasbro. And I think I misquoted earlier on when I said the amount of Hasbro you get for Cheska was 30. So it's 20% hazard protection, right? 8% crit hit chance. They nerfed that. And then you have a two-piece Sokolov where you get the SMG damage as well as the crit hit damage. And you can see my base on this. I'm at
Agent in
91.8
need
again.
of backup.
And, you know, then on this one, I'm using Intimidate as well and Adrenaline Rush. And this is because whenever you are within 10 meters of an enemy, you'll gain 20% bonus armor, which then procs to Intimidate. And that's just kind of like the old school meta for this. And you put a little bit of bleed damage on. You guys can look at my stats on this. Like, you know, it's kind of crazy. So, like, I mean, you'll see my bleed resistance is 100%. My Has-Pro is 112.5%. And, you know, I just, you know, the damage itself, it doesn't accumulate as much as you want it to. You do proc a lot of crit. It is kind of cool, but it's nowhere near as much as you would get from this new meta because you're using Striker. Now, this is kind of self-explanatory. One Piece Group O, and then One Piece Y'all, just to be able to add the additional hazard protection. And actually, this One Piece Y'all, because I have Has-Pro on it, actually is not 10%, it's 20%. And I pretty much have Has-Pro on every part of the build, so it equates to that amount of hazard protection. I still was using the ACS-12 with it. And I just had this on just for the love. I just had to fix a drone on. It's a cool build, like I said, but this was the original meta. If you guys look this up, this was actually online first for the Backfire. Now we're using this meta, which is, to me, a lot better. I just wouldn't recommend using it with you don't need the One Piece Y'all. You don't need, like, I mean, you can see what my Has-Pro is on mine. And, I mean, I'm at 32.5% hazard protection. And did it look like I was concerned about dying? You know, I could have with ease passed that part in the legendary. The thing I did want to see is how I would be able to interact with the Changas. That's gonna kind of be tough, but I mean, I'm pretty well good on dealing with them. I mean, I'm gonna go chain, backpack, chain, and you know, then afterwards is chain, and then if he bends over in front of me, I'm taking him to Star Island, and he's gonna spend the rest of the night at Diddy's house, cause it's anal insertion that he will be feeling. And you know, it's just a wrap from that point, so I ain't gotta worry about that. So ultimately, like, you know, it's up to you how you guys want to run it. I would recommend, you know, giving it a bit of an option. Um, Also, I'm getting some sort of a thought it was some sort of a buff, but I guess not. Because am I still getting this? Okay, finally it went down to 91.8. So I didn't know. So that armor regen, they actually quantify that as bonus armor? Because it says here that 5-minute buff that you get from this trophy is, it says armor regeneration. It doesn't say bonus armor. Bonus armor lasts 10 seconds. So look, I'm going to try something real fast just to be able to check that out. I just want to get a kill over here real quick. This guy's my Huckleberry. Oh, come on. Why'd y'all kill him? What the hell? Okay, cool. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so it says I have a little slither there, right? It doesn't count as bonus armor. That was strange. It's almost like the trophies stack. Maybe the trophies actually stack. So every time you get another one, it adds more seconds on. Because I was at 111 for quite some time after I was out of combat. Because now I'm at 91.8. Well, then again, it could have been a false positive, but it looked like I was still there, though, because I was still maintaining it. But alright, so, you know, I'm not going to hold you guys too much longer. This is my build video. I just wanted to be able to show it to you guys real fast so you can take a look at how to be able to run that meta a different way. This isn't by far the right way, and this isn't, you know, my particular build or anything like that. It's just the Backfire meta that everyone's been trying, and I felt like, you know, I kind of needed to do something as much as everybody else has been because of the fact that I have been having a lot of people on my friends list have been asking me about why is everybody coming in with those striker cores. Oh, this is why. This is why. So, until next time, it's your buddy Cackler signing out. And as usual, peace and love. Deuces.